Hi muckers and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all having the best day ever. Thank you so much for clicking on my YouTube channel and on my video today. I appreciate you being here. I'm gonna give a PSA. I have lost my voice and today is the first day that I can actually speak, which you know that I love uploading videos every single day. It's one of my favorite things to do and I love hearing your opinions and your comments and reading and responding. I have not been able to even speak for the past 2 days and it's finally just came back, and if you're on my other social medias you will have heard I did like a couple Instagram stories and I don't think my voice has ever sounded so as if I had been smoking for like 100 years or whatever, but it's slowly starting to come back. But if you know, hear me just being congested or whatever, just please be patient. But before we get into today's video, which is going to be a very interesting and exciting one because I love the Ned Fulmer dragging. I do. I love the Ned Fulmer dragging. So I will be very excited to tell you what today's video is about, which is about Ned Fulmer and people exposing him further. And I think that that is really interesting because I just think that he's not the greatest. So anyway, before we get into today's video, I want to remind you of the Muckers private Facebook group. It's a really fun community over there. We're almost at 3,000 of you. If you go and click the link below and request to join, I will accept you as quick as possible. And also, my second channel, More Adam McIntyre, which is linked down below as well. I'm uploading every single day there, or well, I was, and I will be again now that I've finally got my voice back. But anyway, let's get to today's video. So, I was getting sent this like crazy. Now, you know that I am not the best when it comes to Reddit. I'm not the most up to date with how to use it. It's a social media for me that I stay very far away from because it terrifies me and it's just a lot. But anyway, there is a Try Guys subreddit and a lot of you were saying that, Adam, you need to go and read this because they're exposing a lot, and they were actually the first kind of group of people to expose what was happening with Ned. And that is true. Even Zach and Keith said that in their video where they were like, oh my god, you guys should work in the detectives, like the audience, like you're like young kids and you're on Reddit and you're able to like piece things together before, you know, people on our teams had. And I just think that like people on Reddit are like a different breed, for better or for worse, and this post is really interesting. So this is on the Try Guys subreddit, like I said, and it says, Actual Ned Fulmer Red Flags. It is written by kindly_bean, and it says, I've seen a lot of posts here identifying red flags that Ned gave off in prior videos. A lot of them are speculative, open to interpretation, or require downright mental gymnastics to qualify as red flags. Ooh, a little bit of shady towards the fans here reading it. I offer my one observed Ned flag that I love that they're calling it a Ned flag instead of a red flag. And y'all call me messy. I think it's actually an objective red flag in a relationship. Let me know if you disagree. In the video discussing how the Try Guys left BuzzFeed and some of the financial, career, personal, etc. considerations for each of them, I was really taken aback and shocked to learn that Ariel was not on board with the decision and even led by Ned to believe that he would be continuing to continue with the Try Guys in the BuzzFeed contract. Now, whenever I was looking into this further, I was actually surprised to learn that. And, you know, I enjoyed the Try Guys when they were on BuzzFeed, and whenever they went independent, I hadn't watched them in a while on BuzzFeed. I just didn't really like, you know, supporting BuzzFeed's videos for a certain period of time after all the, like, workers speaking about their bad experiences, and some of them were ones I really liked. So whenever they left BuzzFeed and went independent, it kind of re-engaged me with their content. So their leaving arc was something I was really interested in anyway, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe that I hadn't even pieced together the fact that Ariel was basically, allegedly, like Allegedly Bear would say, led on to believe that that wasn't going to be happening. But even at that, that's like the wife guy. And, you know, allegedly he wasn't even being that open or that honest when it came to a huge career decision. I'm sure one that brought in a lot, if not most, of the household income money because, again, they would be, like, raking it in with the amount of views they were pulling in as the Try Guys, and especially, you know, whenever BuzzFeed were doing it, but then getting more when they went independent. And it's like, it was just so crazy to me that allegedly he wasn't even that open with Ariel about it. And so these are people saying that it's a Ned flag, clever, that, you know, there was, you know, cracks showing that he really didn't allegedly, I don't know how to phrase this, but allegedly, how do I want to phrase that? Be the most transparent, if we leave it at that, with his wife, and then that led to things that have happened now. Alright, I was taken aback to shocked to learn that Ariel was not even on board with the decision and led to believe that it wasn't going to be happening. He made a huge decision that impacted not only himself but his family and wife without her input, allegedly. Okay. One could even say behind her back, allegedly. This is... I feel like he just needs to sit up for this video, like, way closer than he normally does, because there seems to be a lot of allegedlys getting thrown around. If you do not know who this is Allegedly Bear, and he's not going to be sitting here because there's a lot of allegedlys that are being thrown around in this video, and he's my lawyer. Haven't got a lawsuit yet! Isn't that right, boy? Cheers. Alright. So this is a huge lack of respect, communication, and equal decision-making should have been involved here. I just thought it was a giant red flag. Ned flag. More vibey or hindsight is 2020 type stuff, as opposed to the above, which I really believe was a true red flag. So we have two examples here. This is so trivial, but in the office sleepover video, Ned was the only guy that didn't try to turn off the lights when they were motion activated. Thought it was a little jerky and inconsiderate, but sleep-deprived people can be like that. So again, that one said, this is so trivial, but in the office sleepover video that they did, Ned was the one guy that didn't try to turn off the lights. Sorry, I read that wrong, which is why I went over it again. He didn't try to turn off the lights after they were motion activated. Thought it was a little jerky and inconsiderate, but sleep-deprived people can be like that. So again, I reread that because I read it wrong. They're basically accusing him of being an asshole because he was basically keeping everyone up and basically being an awful person to, like, live with as well. Allegedly. Alright, next one. The Make a Huge Ice Cream Cone episode filmed with Ariel. I only listened to it in the background without the visuals, and I thought they sounded so strained and passive-aggressive with each other. Was surprised when I went into the comments and everyone was praising their excellent communication and loving relationship. Anyway, what are your Ned flags that you've observed? Okay, before I get to some of the responses on this, one thing I do need to say is it's crazy to me that not only was Ned like the wife guy and him and Ariel were so like publicly adored together, but they literally used to do like TED Talks together on like how to have a healthy relationship. More so over that, they had like cookbooks together, and it's like they were publicly, you know, like the loving couple, and then privately like Anyway, let's get to a couple of these. This is just like the ickiest situation. Oily said, I forgot that Ned left BuzzFeed without counseling, just basically talking with Ariel. As someone who's been married for 13 years, I would be livid if my husband did something like that. Anyways, I never listened to their podcast or watched too many of the videos with Ned and Ariel before all of this happened, but the thing I hated was, a gift for the boys is a gift for Ariel in the Valentine's Day. So, people have already mentioned that one, but I'll echo them. Bullshit, don't get a present for the kids and tell me it's for me. So, basically complaining about his relationship or how he was treating Ariel. When people say things like that, it makes me wonder if they value the real person they're with, or they just value the role that that person fills. You're not blank. You're a wife and a mother. I despise shit like that, and it's so backwards. And I have seen a lot of people say that actually when they start, you know, in hindsight, looking back at like the Ned stuff and Ariel stuff, people were like, actually, it's the ones who preach the loudest that are, you know, the messiest ones. Or, you know, he made such a big deal to say how much he loves his wife, and look what happened. But more so over that as well, maybe he did just, allegedly, maybe he did just look at her as, like, a wife. And that's why he only mentioned her by wife. Like, if you really think about it, and I'm gonna hold him up, allegedly, if you really think about it, did he ever really talk about Ariel if he wasn't just talking about her being a mother or a wife? And we all took that allegedly, we all took that as like, oh my god, like, you know, indestructible relationship. But now when you look back on it, allegedly, it really does just come across as, oh, that was actually kind of all he allegedly thought about her. It's like sick, right? Alright, so anyway, we go on to another couple opinions right here. And basically a lot of people are agreeing with the fact that they just think that he was kind of treating her as a wife and filling that role. Okay, so we have, honestly, the only one time that I ever saw something as actually weird or bad at the same time, now looking back on a lot of things, however, I think a lot of things were, was how he seemingly was frustrated on the podcast with Ariel, cleaning and organizing. Meanwhile, Keith was saying how grateful he was for Becky taking care of the things in the house that he never does and she does for him. So basically, again, we're now having people compare how Ned spoke about Ariel doing, like, wife tasks versus Keith talking about how grateful he is that Becky's doing it. And it's so funny that now, looking back on it, wow, he actually wasn't the most respectful to Ariel in any way. Allegedly. Alright, then we go on. Because he was grateful of Becky taking care of the house because he could never do it like she does. And then in the next episode of YCSW, Ariel was talking about how hurt she was that Ned seemed to only complain about her and she looked like she was going to cry. Are you seeing the amount of instances that people are bringing up right now? If all partners are in agreement about how their relationship is set up, even if the woman is doing traditional gender role stuff, I think that's totally fine and up to them. But when there's zero gratitude or, involved and there's complaining instead, that's a problem and that's not respecting your wife as a person, but instead looking her as a wife. My goodness. Reminds me of my awful ex and it gave me the ick. If he was frustrated about her moving his stuff and actually cleaning, he would nicely say it offline instead of venting about it on their very public relationships, while the other guys were in comparison praising their wives for the exact same things. So then a lot of people are saying, oh, he also did it here, and he did it here, and he did something, his desk was moved around and he had a huge hissy fit about it, and it's like, wow, he was publicly complaining about her as well at the same time, and it's just like, oh my god, looking back on it, I feel overwhelmingly stupid that I was ever like, oh wow, that's a healthy relationship. I'm like, shit, I need to be picking up more on these fucking Ned flags. Like, it's crazy that my perception of their relationship was really that it was indestructible just because Ned said how much he loved her publicly, but then when you see all of the evidence against that, does that stand for anything? So, we have a lot of people agreeing with this. And a lot of people are saying that on the podcast, Ariel was saying that she would do the laundry, and she would do the kids' laundry, and she would also do Ned's laundry. Rachel says that she makes her husband do his own. Ariel said something like, he does his own laundry? How did you start that conversation? I would love to do that. It's not a red flag necessarily if the women are doing all of the chores in the house, but it's the fact that the man is expecting it. However, based on her tone, it sounded like she would love for him to do his portion as well. The flag was that she was either too uncomfortable or too certain it wouldn't change anything if she ever even asked Ned about it. So this is crazy, and it's just like, there's a lot of people saying, not one moment in particular, but the way that Ned would talk about Ariel on the podcast whenever she was not there would make me uncomfortable. It just gave me the vibe of, damn, for someone who used to be so positive and preach about how the sun shines out of her ass, you seem to have a lot of negative things to say about the woman you supposedly love right now. And again, a lot of people are saying that they hated when he said a gift for Wes is a gift for Ariel, and it's basically like, you're devaluing your wife in a way. So anyway, we'll go for another couple, right? It's like, actually, there's like a lot of people just kind of, everyone's focused on the leaving BuzzFeed without telling her, and there's like a lot of agreement on that, and I really, I think, yeah, there's a lot of people talking about that. Yeah, leaving BuzzFeed and starting a company behind his wife's back. Enough said. Someone other said, when Ned proposed to Ariel, he started the day at work like normal. He had a realization he wanted to marry Ariel and took the rest of the day off to get himself ready. He picked her up from work and proposed without a ring. Not that you need a ring to propose, but it seemed like his focus was on what he wanted to do it, and instead of making it a special moment for Ariel. So, we have a lot of people basically echoing the same thing. So, I want to know your opinion, like, thinking back on it now, if you agree with, like, the sentiment that's going on here, and also what your opinion is on the, like, alleged, going behind her back and like this, and also whenever we're just able to compare it with the other guys' partners and how they speak about them, it's like, fuck me, I can't believe I was like, oh, they're endgame. But even if they weren't, there are so many moments that Ned has complained about Ariel online publicly, whenever you think about it now, that if that was spoken about in private and not on the podcast, almost like setting up that you don't love her, allegedly, so that, if you're cheating, then it's like, oh, that makes sense because he's been talking shit about her. Why would you not have those conversations in private if you're such a wife, ma'am, and work through them instead of having to cheat? And if you can't work through them, then break up and do the best thing for your family. But no, your children are going to grow up now to see this media storm that you created. And you purposely wanted to create, allegedly, because you did everything so publicly with a work colleague. So, Muckers, I want to know your opinion. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad my voice is back so I can film again. I appreciate you being here. Make sure to check out the second channel, join the Facebook group, and I want to hear what you have to say about this video in the comments below. And I will get back, talk amongst yourselves, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye. Mwah!